Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Alex's, no, not Alex's Afternoon Art Show. Today we are doing the design critique. This is the problem with using the same intro. But yeah, today we are doing the design critique. Again, a second episode, who knows? God knows when this will come out, but yeah. Today we're doing Marvel's Insomniac Spider-Man for PS4, but also the PlayStation 5 Remaster extra costumes. So yeah, we're going to be discussing and ranking the weird and wonderful costumes of that game, which are varying in quality wildly. So yeah, I'm pretty sure last time when I did this, I forgot to color correct the camera because it was a little washed out. But yeah, I did it this time. And also, yeah, my microphone is a little bit in frame now, which ordinarily it wouldn't be, but, you know, I don't know. I think the camera's ever so slightly lower or something this time, maybe. I don't know. Anyways, roll the intro. This is a very strange intro.
Let's go.
Okay, so now that is over. That bizarre intro. I guess I can continue doing the bizarre tone of things as I guess I'm doing now. But yeah, so if you didn't watch the first one, what we're doing here is I'm going to go through all the designs, give my 2 cents, and then give them a number grade. Now the number grade is relative to this video, not any other ones. I'm not ranking these against the previous video. I'm ranking these within this against each other. So yeah, with all that said, I think it's worth starting now. So, costume number 1. We've got the advanced suit. I'm a fan of the advanced suit. I like the white spider. I like the white on the gloves. I'm maybe not as into some of these bits here. These, like the kind of little ribbed bits on the edges of the red parts of his suit. I think some of the separation looks a little odd. I think the separation on the arms doesn't necessarily need to be there. That's something which isn't in the second game. His colors are quite washed out. Again, that's also something they changed in the second game. I feel like the fact that there's so little red on his legs makes the rest of it makes it kind of look a little strange. But yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure when it comes to that. I've never particularly liked having the exposed web shooters too much. I prefer whenever they're kind of invisible. But yeah, I am partial to the white spider. I always like whenever there's a big spider. I like the bits of white. I think they do accent things a little better. And it disperses his white from the eyes, so this is the thing. I do just feel like his colors are a bit washed out, but I think as a beginner, this is probably an 8. Is my feeling, is that this is a decent 8 out of 10. Just to reiterate my grading scale, 0 is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. It doesn't even count, basically. It doesn't function in the way that it was designed to function. And then 1 to 3 is it's bad. 4 to 6 is it's okay, it's average. And then 7 to 9 is it's pretty good. 10 being it's the best. There's no better. 10 I do not give out often. I do not give out 10s frequently. So if you see a 10, that means that it's done very well. But yeah, I would say this is feeling like an 8 to me. I don't always love, like, he's got a lot of these little lines on him. I don't normally love this type of stuff. I feel like it can kind of confuse designs if you add too many lines, too many things like that. It can make things a little bit messy, a little less clear. Here I think it's okay, but I think it could stand to be simpler around the kind of waist here, because they've tried to do this kind of like molded muscle type of thing into the suit, but it also doesn't need to be there. So I don't know. I think it looks okay. I think it's a good design. It is definitely an 8 for me, I think. Yeah. So what's next? Next is the damaged classic suit. Yeah, I think there's no real need to go too far into the damaged version here. It's okay. I think it would be fun if there was like a cracked eye or something. That might be fun. Like in the Raimi movies, that might be fun. Or if there was a little bit of hair sticking out at the top. Something like that, I think would have added a little bit of something to it. because as it stands, it's very basic. Obviously the colors here are very washed out because it's dirty, because the normal version isn't this washed out. I like that he has soles on his boots though. I think that looks a little better than just having it be the kind of like basic socky looking thing. Well, it looks like a sole anyways. It's realistically just one of the kind of web lines on him, but it looks more like a sole. It looks a little better to me. He does look a little bit thicker in this costume for whatever reason. Whatever way they designed it makes him look a little broader. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is about it's a 5. I think the classic suit as a whole is a lot better than this, but it's like a, if we're going by damaged suit ranking scale, I think this is about a 5. It's not amazing. They could have done a little bit more to make this a bit more of an interesting damaged suit, but I don't think, yeah, no one really uses this. It's not that cool or interesting. It's kind of basic. Now, the regular classic suit. I quite like this. I like the colors. His red could stand to be a little redder. I think I would like it a little bit more if it was a deeper red. But again, this is something which seemingly they fixed in the second game, of where his red is a little bit more vibrant here. I like the blue. The blue looks great, I think. I think the blue is exactly what I want from this design. Yeah, I don't mind the spider, but I generally prefer a larger spider on his chest. It's simple. I like the eyes in these suits. I like the way the eyes look. Again, I'm a bit over the mechanical eyes, but if it's a logical way to get the expressive eyes in there, I don't mind it too much. It's just something that doesn't overly do much for me. It's not like a crazy thing for me. Yeah. I think this, again, some of the washing out of the colors is to do with the lighting, because the lighting in a lot of these images is going to be a little pale. But yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind it all in all. I think it's about a 7. I don't like it as much as the advanced suit, which is uncommon. I like the advanced suit a lot more, actually. But yeah, I'd say, well, not a lot more. 1 number more. I like this one well enough. It's a 7, I think. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah, there's definitely worse suits in this game. There's some very weird ones, but we'll get to those. I question some of their decisions in this. Okay, so now we got the Noir Suit. I like the Noir Suit a lot. It's very simple. Well, yeah, it is simple. I like how they kind of gave it this like subtle pinstriping on his trousers. They have that kind of subtle stripiness to them. His kind of jumper underneath does have that kind of slight texture to it, of where it's got the kind of fibrous texture. I like all of the texturing on it. It all looks great. It's very well modeled. It's easily the best modeled Noir Suit. And I think it's the best a Noir Suit has looked in a Spider-Man game, but I would like, at some point, maybe in the second game they could do this, if there was a version of the Noir Suit which had the hat and the trench coat. That's something which I'd like to see, even just once in a Spider-Man game. I'd like to see it just once. I'd like them to try it. Because they've been showing in some of the stuff for the new game that there are costumes which have more moving fabrics on them. There's ones with capes. So maybe a trench coat would be fun. Maybe they could do the Spider-Man Unlimited costume. Maybe. I'd like that. I'd like it if they did that. I'd be very happy if they did that. But yeah, I think I like the way the mask looks. I like all of it. I think this is an easy 8. Easy 8.5. I really like this. I really like this version of the Noir Suit as a whole. I like the way they modeled it. It looks really cool. And I mean, I may as well start giving out my good grades now, because I'm not going to be giving out many later on. If there's one thing I can't complain about with any of these suits, is it's that they're very well modeled, they're very well textured, they all look really good. It's just very high standard in terms of the way they've been made. But they've just picked some questionable ones as we go along. That'll become more obvious. I'm trying to make this a little bit of a shorter episode than the last one. The last one was, 3 hours long. Which is not the most manageable length of a video. Also, it took 3 hours to edit, so I want to make this a little quicker, all in all. But yeah, Noir Suit, 8.5. Real good. I really like it. Next up, we have the Scarlet Spider, the basic Scarlet Spider. I think the way they've modeled this is interesting. I like that there's these kind of this texture along the outside. I like that the eyes have a little bit of texture. I'll zoom in so that it can be visible because I have that power. I like the subtle texturing along a lot of the suit. The hoodie looks cool. I like that the spider on the hoodie is a little faded, like it's been sprayed on, or like basically that it was stenciled on and then sprayed over with spray paint so that it has that kind of haze to it. I think that looks really cool. I like this kind of, this is kind of basic superhero suit. You see this type of design in a lot of the movies, of where a lot of superhero suits in movies will have this kind of like long diamond kind of patterning along things. I mean, whenever we get to the Amazing Spider-Man suit later on, you'll see that as well, that it has the kind of the long diamonds. But I like the way that the eyes look different here. I think it looks really cool. I think this is, again, this is the best version of the Scarlet Spider. Does it normally have this like a ninja toe thing going on though? I'm not familiar with that. I don't know that I've seen that before. Again, a thing with a lot of superhero costume designs is that in the comics they look very simple. Such as, in the comics, this is all just the one red, there's no texturing, nothing really. But here, whenever they translate it to something which is supposed to look more like live action, look real, it's a case of where they've added this element of the texturing, these little lines, these little bits of where it moves. I mean, you can even see it here around the crotch. There's little seams, stuff like that along the inside of the leg. All these little seams and things so that it moves in a way, or so that it looks a way that it could be functional. I think the web shooters here look cool. All the cartridges in the belt. I don't know why he has these little cufflinks on his ankles. I don't know if he normally has those either. I don't know. I don't love the Scarlet Spider's design as a whole. I like the color of it. I like the colors here. The red it's a very nice, vibrant red. Obviously modeled very well. I don't really feel the need to reiterate that all the time, but it is worth saying at least a couple times. He's got this little bit of black on the sole of his boots here, which, yeah, it's got this kind of like running shoe sort of texture to it, this kind of look to it, which I'm not huge on, but it's got these kind of like little, obviously the long diamond texture is supposed to be kind of like a breathable material. It's the type of thing that you might see on like exercise gear. That's kind of the look I think they're going for here, is that kind of like, yeah, this kind of like exercise gear on these bits. But yeah, it's interesting the little ways that they change these, because in a lot of the more popular suits that they've gone for, because there's also a lot of weird ones that they've gone for, but in a lot of the popular ones that they've gone for, there is these little changes here and there which I think make for an interesting version, but also it's there to kind of realisticify it to a degree. I'm not always huge on it, but here I think it works. I think this is a solid 8 out of 10 for this design. I don't love it. I don't absolutely love it, but I think it's good. I think it's very good. Generally speaking, I'll give an 8 to something which I think is very good, but I don't necessarily love. But it doesn't necessarily tickle my particular fancy. But yeah, overall, I'm not huge on the Scarlet Spider as a design. I think it's interesting. I like the hoodie. I think it's a cool idea, but I don't love it. There's very little blue in it generally. But obviously, the blue on the hoodie is so bright that it kind of catches your eye and it disperses the color naturally. But yeah, I think we've got an 8 on our hands here. Again, as I say, I might as well give out my good grades now, because I'm not going to be giving out many of them later. Okay, what's next? Right, we've got one which I don't really like. This is the Spider-Armour Mk II, I think they call it in-game. I don't know where this comes from. It's a very particular artist's version, but this is... no. Well, I can't really zoom in on this one very much. But this is like a very particular artist rendition of this type of thing. I mean, it's very Tron-ish. There's another costume later on which we'll be going into, which is very Tron-ish. But as a whole, this one is okay. I don't like the eyes. I think the eyes look very dull. I don't think black and gold is very interesting on Spider-Man. I like the big spider. I like the way that it kind of flows both into the arms and into the legs, and it kind of forms the shape of the boots here. And then it also forms into the kind of end of the shape of the glove there. And there is that little bit of that kind of Spider-Man web texture on the back of his hands. So I suppose it's got that element of the symbiote suit where it's got the white patch, but here it's the web patch. And he seemingly also got it here, but I can't zoom in on this one. Yeah, he seemingly got it here on the kind of along his collar, here along his collarbone into the shoulder pad. I don't love it. It's very basic. It's got these two different kind of, there's the black and then there's also the dark grey, which the suit is mostly made up of. I think the way that the colors flow in that sense is a little odd. I think the head being so dark as opposed to the rest of the costume is weird. I think if it was all just the one black, I might like it a little more in that sense. Like, I think the spider is an interesting design. I'm not huge on this big, like, diamond piece at the top, and then the tiny little body, and then the giant diamond at the bottom. Or that little tiny centerpiece of the body, anyways. I'm not huge on that part of it. Again, I do like the big spider. But here I don't think it works so much in gold. There's another black and gold costume which we have to cover later for some reason. But yeah, I'm not huge on this. I think I'm gonna give it a 6. It's good, but I don't particularly love it all that much. I don't feel too strongly about it, really, but I don't dislike it enough to give it a low rating. But I also don't like it in any particular way. That's the kind of feeling I have here. It's not average. It's not 5. It's above average. So I'd say it's a 6. That's how I feel about that one. So now what do we got? Now I got the Secret Wars one. I don't like this suit very much. So this is the Secret War suit, not Secret Wars, Secret War. So this suit I remember because it's in almost every Spider-Man game for some reason, and I don't like it in any of them really. So this is from a particular event of comics, not the original Secret War, which had the black suit in it. This comes from Nick Fury's Secret War. I don't know what that really was all that much. That was like an early 2000s thing. I remember the covers of it because it had these painted covers, but I never actually read it. And apparently this suit was in it at some point. It's funny how a lot of some of these design elements kind of got carried over into Miles' suit, because you've got like these on Miles it's red, but the orange webs along the suit, and then obviously the core color of the suit is black. But here it's also got this blue on it, which doesn't really mesh to me. And again, you can see here what I mean whenever I say they put a lot of these lines on to add kind of a bit of texturing to it. Again, they went for the kind of the ab shape here, and then like this double crotch thing here, which I'm not too huge on. I don't particularly like this, but again, I don't dislike it. I do dislike it, but how much do I dislike it? I'm not huge on this kind of like this round piece, or how separated the web parts are, like with the boot and the boots and then the kind of upper body bits. I obviously can't turn it to see the back, but I don't think there's anything. If memory serves, it's not particularly different on the back. I think the back is mostly the same, but I think this obviously with these kind of bits coming around the top and the sides, I think that moves into a big spider on his back. But overall, I don't like the blue here. The blue looks weird to me. There's so much black, and it's this very dull dark grey, which I've talked about even before with the previous design. I don't really care for the dark grey. I think this is a 5. I'm feeling a 5 on this one. I'm feeling that this is very average. It's not that it's not modeled well or anything like that. It's a fine model. I don't think there's anything that they really could have done to it, but I just don't like this suit. I think I'm willing to believe that there's probably a way that they could have made this suit more interesting, but also you can't stray too far away from the original design. At that point, you might as well just make a new suit, which is kind of what they're doing with a lot of the suits in the new game. It seems like they're making a lot of suits. I don't recognize them, at least. So I don't know if they're making like a lot of new ones or what they're kind of doing for a lot of it. But yeah, with this one, I just don't care for it. It's a 5. I just really don't care for this suit. It's in every Spider-Man game. For some reason, it's always there. And it's just not interesting. It's just not an interesting suit. Anyways, let's move on to the next one. Okay, now we've got the Homecoming suit. The Stark suit, as it's referred to in the game. First big one. I like the red. I like the way that the red looks here. It's a little brighter than it looks in the movie, if memory serves. I don't like the indented webs. I think Spider-Man should have raised webs on his suit designs. And here you can, again, what I was saying before with a lot of the lines that are just kind of on the suit, you can see it here with just the lines that are on his body. They're just kind of here. What are these lines for? Do they do anything? Why are they there? They're just kind of there for decoration. They don't really do anything in any way at all. I kind of wish they weren't there. That's the kind of level I'm feeling here. The black, I'm not so into with a lot of the black. Hang on. I'm not so into a lot of the black because I think it's an interesting way of doing things, of kind of separating of giving the red this extra bit of depth. But that's why you have the raised webs. That's what gives the red that extra bit of depth. Whenever you have the indented webs, you have to do these weird little things like the kind of these little black stripes which are along the suit, all that type of stuff. It also feels like, I don't know if it's just the way that the light's hitting it, it might just be the way that the light's hitting it, but the spider is very dull in color. Yeah, the spider is like kind of grayish almost. It doesn't quite work. I know that this suit, I believe, still has the animated eyes. Yeah, I think the suit still has the animated eyes. That whenever he's doing his little expressions, I think they still do show on this suit in game, which is a nice detail. I think that's a nice detail of the costume, that it does that. But yeah, I just don't really like the indented webs. I think overall I don't care much really with this suit. I think I kind of feel very indifferent to it. I would say it's a 6. It's not bad. It's nowhere near as bad as some of the other MCU Spider-Man suits. I think some of the other MCU Spider-Man suits are actively bad, but this one I think is okay. It's probably, well, apart from the last one that they did, the one from the end of the new movie, I don't really remember. That one was okay, I think, but this one I don't much care for. I don't like the size of the spider. The spider's too small, and the spider's very minimalist, but in a way that I don't think is very interesting. Yeah, I don't know. It's a 6. It's a 6. Yeah, okay, what do we got next? Do I need to rank this? Do I need to rank this? What's my feeling I'm getting here? Do I need to do this? It's just, this is the negative suit. It's just the advanced suit, but with a different palette. It's just got these negative colors now. It's got the negative camera filter. Like, I think it looks interesting in-game. I think it looks okay whenever it's against things in-game. I think the way that the lighting hits it is interesting. Because it looks so weird and kind of alien whenever the lighting hits it, but... I mean... What do you want from me? It's just a negative filter, that's all it is. Yeah, it's just a negative filter. It mutes a lot of the colors in very strange ways. Like, you can see that the whites here are like grey. They're not like a normal like black. The red part is black, and then but this white of the spider is black. It's done in very it's kind of weird the way that it looks. Again, some of that might be lighting. I don't know. Yeah, it's 4. I don't really care for it in any way. It's it looks kind of okay in game, but it's a 4. I mean, I don't know. What do you want from me here with this one? It's a 4. I don't care for it really. It's not terribly interesting, but it's also not like offensive. It's about a 4. I don't care for it really at all. I don't want to devote too much time to it either. Right, okay. Now we've got the insulated suit, the electro-proof suit. It's fine. I don't like this spider at all. I can't zoom in. I think the ribbing is okay. I mean, some of the design of it is interesting. I think the inside of the hands is okay. These little like clasps here are interesting. Maybe these little like kind of they shape the torso in an interesting way. But these like nubbins that he's got on his head here look kind of dumb. It makes him look more like a lightning rod rather than lightning proof. And these like little nubbins that he's got on his shoulders. He looks extra buff in this, but I think it's also because of the padding. The padding makes him look quite stocky and broad. I think the way that they've modeled this one is really good. I like the way that it kind of defines his muscle along the kind of shoulders into the pecs. I think that looks cool, but I think the spider is pretty bad. Really don't like the spider. He's got these very particularly molded boots here with these kind of knee pads and stuff like that. Overall, I think this one's probably also a 6. I don't really feel too strongly about it, but it's decent looking. It's another one of these suits which is just kind of in every Spider-Man game. No, it's a 5. It's a 5. It's one of these ones where it's in every Spider-Man game, but I just don't really care. But I don't care about it enough to really give it any sort of rating. It's a 5. Yeah, I don't love it. I don't hate it, but it's just really meh. Yeah, I don't dislike it all that much, but I also don't like it at all, really. It's basic. It's kind of dull. It's boring. I don't know. It doesn't really do anything for me particularly. Yeah, it's a 5. What else we got? So now we got Spider-Punk. Here we go. Now finally a good one. Is it just me or his eyes kind of far apart? Is that the same with this one? No, it's not. It's not the same. His eyes are like kind of weird and far apart here. I don't know. Is that maybe just the image or what? But anyways, I think that this suit is really cool, obviously. Everyone likes Spider-Punk. The spikes along the head, cool. The denim jacket, it moves as well. It has a little bit of flapping whenever you're moving in game, which is cool that they gave it that little bit of extra animation to make it. It's got that secondary animation which kind of adds a little bit of something. I think even though ordinarily I wouldn't be too into how little there is of the red, and there's obviously the denim which is blue, which then blocks even more of the red. I think the way that they disperse the red here is interesting, of where it's full red on the top, which all goes down to the hands. It's even kind of got that Captain Universe Spider-Man sort of feeling to it, with the way that the colors are dispersed, and the white as well, the white trim. Has that same sort of design element. I think the shoes are pretty cool. He does have much more subtle little lines, which you can see as these little seams and everything that come along the suit into the kind of little bits of padding maybe along the knee, but which kind of work up and down the suit. I think this one is an 8 as well. It's a good one. I think it's good. I like the way it's all dispersed. I think the colors are cool. I think the red is a nice, a slightly maybe too orangey tone of red. For my taste, I generally would prefer a sweeter tone of red. If I'm referring to a sweeter tone of red, I mean something which is slightly closer to the pink scale of red. For Spider-Man, I generally prefer a sweeter tone than this. I don't normally love these kind of like orangey tones, which they tend to go for in this game. He doesn't have a spider, which is something which I actually only just noticed. He doesn't have a spider on his chest, which I think he has it on the back of his denim jacket. I forget. But he does, I think, have some sort of symbol somewhere. But otherwise, I think it is cool. I think it's an 8. I think it's a good design. Moving on, I don't have a huge amount to say about it really. I like it well enough, but it doesn't blow my mind, really. Again, it's good model. Eyes are a little far apart though. Something about them. I don't know if it's just this angle or something, but they do look a little far apart. Anyways, now we got one which I really don't like. I don't like the wrestler suit. There's something about his hands here which look kind of weird. Like his hands are kind of like, his fingertips have like very nubbly bits to them. They're a little strange looking. Like, I understand this is supposed to be the very homemade wrestler look, but also, what kind of wrestler looks like this? Wrestlers tend to have a little bit more pomp and circumstance to them. They tend to be a little bit more bombastic looking. And this, like the mask, I don't like either. The mask I think is really lame. I think like his jumper here is also really lame looking. And again, his hands have like a weird glovey look to them. But they're his hands, they're just his normal hands. Oh, I don't know about that. But yeah, this is the thing, this suit is almost like under-designed in ways, but then you get to these shoes and the shoes feel like over-designed. Because he's got this kind of texture on his mask which makes it look like a kind of like a woolly sock. And then obviously he's got his tracksuit trousers. And then these shoes, which have all this kind of design on them, and it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. There's a little much going on there. I think this one's a 3. I think this is actively a bad design. Because again, there's plenty of like wrestler Spider-Man designs to work off of like obviously they want the quick change Spider-Man. They want the like the classic like prototype Spider-Man idea is what they're trying to get across here. But also this just doesn't look very interesting to me. I think of the ways that you do this is one of the more boring ones. I don't love this in any particular way. And I think it is actively a bad design. Because it's very basic. Like again, as I say, a wrestler doesn't really have this kind of such a basic design, and again, it feels like a quick change, less so than the wrestler suit. And this is the thing, as I said, those shoes have that extra bit of like weird over design to them, which just stands out as being weird, as opposed to like how basic and flat the jumper is, and how basic and flat the mask is, and the tracksuit pants, and all these things where it's just there's like no design to any of this. There's also this like slight silvery. I think that's the web shooters, but I don't know why they didn't make that silver the same color as the shoes. The shoes are black. Why didn't they make that the same color as the shoes? Why didn't they make it black? Then it would kind of maybe blend a little bit better. I don't know. I don't like this. I think it's a 3. I think yeah, I really dislike this one. I think it's a 3. Yeah. Okay, another one which I dislike. The Fear Itself suit. This is another one which came from a weird event in, I think this was like 2013 that this one happened, where they had to like face their fears or something. But Spider-Man got this suit at some point. It's some sort of like, I think it had something to do with Thor, the event, all in all. But I think this looks dumb. Not just the colors. I don't like the colors either. I don't like the weird like aqua blue that they've gone for, this kind of turquoisey color. And all these like this kind of I remember what I was trying to say in the Mortal Kombat video whenever I was referring to the kind of cross-hatched design. A lot of what I was referring to when it came to like the padded look was quilted. That was the word I was looking for. But here it's got this kind of like almost this quilted leather look to along the rest of the suit with this black, and I don't like how it looks. The spider here, it's got this weird like, no, I can zoom in properly on this one. It's got this like hollow middle to it, which I don't like here with the body of the spider. He's still got the same eyes from all the other designs. I like the eyes. And then he's got these gauntlets here, which have these little like this little spike on them. I don't know what those are supposed to be for. His boots have a little bit of extra design to them. Then he's got all these glowy lines around like his crotch and on his legs and on his sides. I don't like these gauntlets. The gauntlets don't mesh with the rest of the colors either. The colors, like if they were black maybe, but they're these weird. This is weird silver to them. Like, is this supposed to be what his web shooters look like in this design? Is that what these are supposed to be? But then they've got these like little talons on the top of them as well, and these lights on the side of them. It's 4. It's not awful, but it's not good. I don't think it's like poorly designed. I don't think Insomniac did anything wrong with this one other than choosing it. I mean, I imagine what they probably wanted was they were like, oh, we want something a little. We don't want to just go for a bunch of really old designs in terms of like the Spider-Man costumes. We want something a little newer, a little bit more contemporary, and a lot of the newer, more contemporary designs they picked are like this, where they're weird. I don't know why they would have gone with this one. This is not a very particularly interesting Spider-Man suit. Realistically, all it is the classic suit that they already have in the game, but with these stupid gauntlets and a different color scheme and these weird lights on it. It's a 4. It's a 4, I think, because it's yeah, it's like I don't think Insomniac did anything particularly wrong with this suit, other than like it's a well rendered, well textured and modeled suit. It's just I don't like the design. It's not a very interesting design. I didn't realize that there's this little cut in the belt piece here. I don't like that either, really, because it has all this like kind of, yeah, this little light coming through. I don't like the lights. I don't like a lot of this. It's a 4. It's a 4. I don't particularly care for it in any way. Okay, so now we've got what this game refers to as the stealth suit, also known as the big time suit. I don't remember where this comes from. This is a slightly more contemporary one as well. I think this came from like the early 2010s, maybe even the late 2000s. I don't fully remember. But this, like I said before, this is with that Spider-Armour one. This is a very kind of Tron-y looking Spider-Man suit. I remember there was the Tron covers, which they did around the time that Tron Legacy came out, I think. Like they had those special covers for the Marvel comics, which were Tron versions of the characters. You can look those up, they're funny. They're kind of fun and weird in an interesting way. I think some of them look cool, some of them are really lame. But this looks kind of like that, because there was a Spider-Man one, but I think his color wasn't... I don't remember what his color was. I think it might have been red. I think that in a lot of the... in the Beanox Spider-Man games, this suit was in all of those. And I think instead of they had 2 different versions. There was the green version, and then there was like a red version, I think, which is more of what the Tron one looked like. Yeah, I don't feel strongly about this, really. There's some interesting little things which they've done here, like adding some of this padding on his shoulders I don't dislike. He's got these kind of exercise gloves here, which I'm not huge on. A lot of this does have a certain kind of exercise gear quality to it. Spider is big. It's got this kind of, yeah, like I said, Tron quality to it because of the lights. It's funny given that it's a stealth suit, even though it has these lights on it. Fly came at me there. Yeah, it's weird that it's a stealth suit despite having lights. I never really thought about that until now. But yeah, I don't know what the context of the story is that he gets this in, but I don't really much care for it, really, to be perfectly honest. It's not like a crazy suit in one way or the other. It's not terrible. It's very basic. Again, Spider-Man's design is a very kind of finicky thing whenever you start changing it in these weird little ways. And in some of these ways it can get a little messed up in certain parts, which I don't love. All in all, like, again, as I say, Spider-Man's design is a very careful concoction of elements. And one of those is the colors. The red, the blue, the black, and the white. So, yeah. with this, they've obviously simplified it down into two colors, sort of, with the black and the green. But there's also these different tones, because it's sort of not really a black as much as it is a grey, but then there's all these little different tones, like there's these little bits, these little straps on the side. On the exercise gloves, which are shiny, they're sort of a shinier, dark grey, maybe silvery colour. And then there's this same kind of stuff going along with his legs. There's lighter grey here, and then there's these kind of little seams, which are sort of lighter, sort of darker in certain parts. I think there's also some weird lighting going on with this, because you can see this kind of like overexposed shadow here. I think I'm gonna give this one a 6. I know it's one of these suits which shows up in a lot of games. I think maybe people like it. I don't really care for it in any way. It doesn't do much for me. I don't tend to love black suits all that much on Spider-Man. They're not the most interesting thing in the world. This one even is kind of fine. I don't love it. I don't hate it. It's about a 6. I don't love it, but I can recognize that it is an interesting design. It's a little different to the normal Spider-Man designs, so I'd say it's a 6. I don't love it, but yeah, it's a 6. Now we've got, I think this is, what is this counted as in the game? I think this is counted as like Spider-Armour Mk III or something in the game. I'd never seen this one before until I saw it in this game. I don't know what it is. I'm not familiar with it. It's a weird design, but I kind of like it. I like the kind of like Power Ranger-y quality to it. There is a suit later on, which I think is more. Got that thing going on. But yeah, this one has that kind of, yeah, that Power Ranger quality to it, with the helmet and the kind of all these bits of armor and things like that. Big Spider, like the Big Spider. Not much blue, and the blue that is in there's obviously the glowing blue eyes, and that's a different color to this kind of like grey blue that's on his shoulders and arms, and then along his belt. He's got this kind of big cod piece here, or because this belt kind of like tucks into his crotch in a weird way. I can zoom in properly on this one so I can see some of the texture work. I think the kind of metallic parts look decent. From a distance, I thought it looked like it had the kind of web pattern, but it actually doesn't. This is kind of like a diamond-y kind of hexagon pattern. Again, yeah, it's a hexagonal pattern. Again, it's got that thing going on with a lot of kind of superhero suits that you see in movies, where it's got that kind of, yeah, hexagonal pattern along it, which, yeah, I don't love particularly. Don't hate it, don't dislike it, don't love it, but yeah. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah. Yeah, I think this one's okay, all in all. I think the kind of breathable material is an interesting touch along the crotch with these kind of dotted bits. Is that what that's supposed to be, like a breathable material? Something which I am after noticing here, which I don't like, is that the helmet is a different color to the rest of his body. Most of his body has this, as I say, like a slightly richer tone of red, this kind of sweeter tone, sort of. I don't know if that's just the way the light hits it, but the helmet here is being hit more or less the same way as the rest of this, but it's a kind of an orangey tone. It's a slightly more orangey tone that I don't particularly like all that much. As Spider-Armors go, I don't really like Spider-Armour. I don't like Bat-Armour. I don't really like superhero armor all that much. I don't care for it, really. It's the type of thing that just does not usually rub me the right way. His shoes look a bit like Crocs. I don't know what that's about. Like what I mean here is this kind of like red part which conforms into this sole. Looks a bit like a pair of Crocs or something. I don't know. Very weird. Again, lots of these little lines that kind of come around and conform in these little ways. Little red stripes that come along, a little inseam along the collarbone here. 7, maybe? I think it's good, but there's weird little problems I have with it. Again, I'm not particularly partial to Spider-Armour in any way, but this one is okay. It's fine. Yeah, this is the Spider-Armour Mk III. I believe. I think that's what I said before, but I just want to reiterate that just in case. Yeah, I think it's a 7. The little pouches are odd, actually, now that I look at them. I don't really know what he's holding in there, because they're quite small. Yeah. Yeah, it's a 7. It's okay. It's okay. It's a 7. Okay, what's next? Okay, I took a bit of a break there because my voice was getting very tired, so I decided to have something to eat and a drink. And now we are back. So, we've still got a good few of these to go through, so I'll try and get through them as quick as possible. But now we've got the Spider-Man 2099 black suit, which, as you can see, very much not black. Well, especially not in this game anyways. So, the whole thing with this suit, if you didn't already know it, is that it is supposed to be black. It's not supposed to be blue. The parts that are blue are supposed to be seen as black. But in the comics, obviously, you always see it has that blue edge to it, and that's just because that's supposed to be how it looks whenever light hits it. Whenever light directly hits it, is that it kind of looks a little bit bluey. And I think that would have maybe improved it here. I think it looks good. But there's so many of these little lines in and around everything that I feel like it gets to be a little too much at points. Like some of these lines are just a little too much in places. Like you've got all these little tech lines here, because obviously doing all these lines is how you make something look advanced. But yeah, I think there's just too many of these little lines in a lot of these places. I think the spider looks cool. I like the way that it kind of wraps around. I think the arm spikes, I don't remember. Is there a particular name for these? I don't know. I think the arm spikes look okay. I generally prefer whenever they're a bit longer. But I think they look alright. I think the pointed fingertips is a nice touch, because that's always how Spider-Man 2099 is portrayed, because he's supposed to have like talons in his fingers. And I think that largely it is okay. I like the way that they've shaped the kind of headpiece. I don't really know how to describe it even really. This kind of, yeah, the eye parts. I like how they've designed this, that they have like a kind of an angrier edge to them, so they look kind of more indented, more kind of furrowed in that sense. Because that obviously matches the kind of tone of Spider-Man 2099. I like how a lot of that stuff looks, but again, a lot of these little lines, a lot of this suit looks kind of weird and wrinkly. I think there's too many wrinkles in a lot of places. And yeah, I mean, you can even, I can't really zoom in much, but you can see around this kind of shoulder piece here, there's like a slightly different material, which is kind of like this little cup that goes around the shoulders. And it's the same kind of thing you see on the back of his wrists, on his hips, or on his knees here, and along the side of his thighs. There's not really any bit on his feet. There's a little bit on the back of his heel there, you can see. I think the type of blue that they've used I like, but I do wish it was just darker. I wish that whenever it would only kind of look bluey whenever it was in direct light, so that it was quite dark. The red is a little dull for my taste. It's not even that it's dull, it's just very dark. I think the red is too dark. I think the red should be quite bright, and then the blue should be very dark. That's usually how I prefer this suit to look. Overall, I think it's a good rendering. I think it's an 8. I think it's an 8 out of 10 as it comes down to it. But there's all these little things which I think stop it from being like a 9 out of 10. Because I think it could probably be a 9 if there were like maybe a few less wrinkles, a few of these less lines, like even along here, along the this muscle here, you're seeing a lot of lines here, even like partially from wrinkling, partially from just how defined the muscle is, and there's a lot of this fabric stretching and stuff like this, and I think there's a little too much of that going on here. I think it's a little too wrinkly, the suit. I think it's, again, maybe some of those color things. The color things are minor, really, because this is always how the suit looks. In most things, it's always blue. That's just how people model it. It's always blue. But yeah, I think just the kind of wrinkliness of the suit is a little bit of an odd one. to me. I think it should be a little less wrinkly. But yeah, I think otherwise it's still an 8 for me, I think, for this one. Now, we have got the MCU Iron Spider. So I mentioned before that there's MCU costumes that I like less. This is one of them. I hate this. I think this looks really bad. I think the colors don't look very good. It's so shiny. The eyes are blue. They're not white, they're blue. They're like a very light blue, and they glow. There's so much going on here that I think it's just a mess. A color which they constantly try to inject into MCU Spider-Man, and I do not understand why in any respect, is gold. You know, when I think of Spider-Man, I don't think of gold, the color of royalty. Well, purple's technically the color of royalty, but you know what I mean. Gold is a very opulent color, not something that I necessarily associate with Spider-Man. Very opulent, very bombastic, very exaggerated color. Don't necessarily associate that with Spider-Man in any respect. And obviously this costume has all this gold, it has all this tech stuff on it. I mean, it's the Iron Spider suit, it's gonna be techy, but like, it's also got this kind of like fabric wrinkling here, which I'm not sure about what that. It's the same thing here. It's got this kind of fabric wrinkling. I don't know why that's there. Because it's not fabric. I don't know. It's confusing. He's got these kind of fat wrists here because of the big gold bit there, and all this. Like it's. They didn't just want it to be the Iron Spider, which is red and gold, simple color scheme, because it's Iron Man's color scheme. They also tried to keep it to Spider-Man's color scheme, of where it's still got this kind of bluey black in there, even though it's like it's not quite right. It's, as I say, it's like a weird bluey black. It just doesn't look very good to me. I do not like this in any way. I think, I don't know if I'm being too harsh when I say this is also a 3, like the wrestler one, but I hate this suit. I hate this. That is very much my opinion on this one. I hate this suit. It's got a big spider. I like whenever they have a big spider, but not when it looks like this. It's so messy, and there's all these lines and everything. Again, it's verging on that kind of like Justice League Flash design of where there's just lines on it, and they don't do anything. They're just lines that are there. They're not like a seam. They don't do anything. There's not like, these aren't like moving parts. They're just lines. Because clearly he's able to be flexible in this because he's Spider-Man. But also, these are just random lines that don't really do anything. We don't see them move or contract in any way. As I say, he's got this kind of fabric-y thing going on around where the shoulder connects to the pec, so I don't really understand that. I hate this design. I really hate this design. It's nothing about how it is in the game, but I just hate this costume. Yeah. I don't look at this anymore. I don't like this at all. So next we have the Velocity Suit, which was designed for the game by Adi Granov, the artist. The artist who designed, ironically, the MCU Iron Man suit. I have problems with this. Again, it's very techy, all the lines. It's a lot more reserved on the lines. There's a certain quality of this which reminds me an awful lot of that one particular Alex Ross Spider-Man design from those comics where he had like the black eyes and his costume was mostly black. I don't even think it had like webs or anything on it. I think it was just red, like a flat red. And there's certain elements of this that remind me of that, like a lot of this red being localized up top, the kind of particular color of his eyes. He's not got any webbing or anything like that on him. His hands look a little bulky because of these kind of wrist pieces here. There is a texture on it which kind of alludes to the fact that maybe this isn't necessarily armory, but it still looks like armor. Still looks like armor. I don't love this. I don't love this, but I also don't feel too strongly about it. I think it's about a 5 for me, to be perfectly honest, because I don't really care one way or another about it. It's just kind of there to me. Yeah, like it doesn't really do anything for me, but it also doesn't offend me in a particular way. Yeah, I just don't really care for this all that much. Again, this isn't what I look for whenever I want a Spider-Man design. This isn't what I look for in a Spider-Man costume. I get it, they're trying to diversify up the list. You can't just have all costumes which are red and blue Spider-Man costumes. You can't, but in the same sense, this is a red and blue Spider-Man costume. It's just a very wine red, and then a dull grey-blue with a blue spider on it. So, it is kind of that, even still. And again, it's got some lines like this here, which still kind of form certain shapes that kind of resemble the webbing. There's also this secondary color here, the secondary grey color, which is also on some of the legs, I think, maybe the inner arm, around the crotch, which I'm not fully certain of why that's there. Again, there's a lot of lines here which don't seem to do anything, they're just kind of there. And then lights, again, I don't much care for lights on these Spider-Man costumes. I don't like them very much in any way, really. Yeah, it's a 5. I don't really care I don't really care either way on this one. I think this is flat down the middle. I just kind of don't feel anything looking at this. I don't feel anything. It's not a costume that I would want to use. It's not a costume that I'd be interested in having. No, I'd say, yeah, 5. Here's another one which I don't like. So, again, mentioning what I was mentioning about the Fear Itself suit with these kind of like more contemporary suits. This is the Spider-Armour Mk IV, which is a costume from some of the more modern comics. This is supposed to be like a new Spider-Armour that Spider-Man made whenever he was like a CEO or something, and it's kind of just the normal Spider-Man costume but shiny, and it's got this weird spider on it which glows green. I think the green looks bad, just straight up bad with the color composition of this. I think the eyes, the black here, doesn't actually fit all that well. I don't really care one way or another about this texture on the blue. I don't like the shininess of the red. I think it looks silly. I think this is a boring looking Spider-Armour. Again, I'm not one for Spider-Armour for the most part, but a lot of this is just quite dull to me. Like, it's just the Spider-Man costume, but shiny. 3. It's a 3. I dislike it strongly. Strongly dislike this. Because, like, I remember, this isn't really that old either. Like, I think it would have been reasonably new when the game came out in 2018. I think it would have been reasonably new at that point. I think maybe they'd only just gotten rid of it at that point, maybe. Because I remember seeing comic covers which had this on it, and it was Alex Ross art of this costume. Funny enough, speaking of Alex Ross before. But, yeah, like, I just don't like it. I just don't like it. I don't know why you'd bother doing this. If you're going to do Spider-Armour, why do this? I don't much care for Spider-Armour, as I've said a couple of times now, but if you're going to do Spider-Armour, why do this? Why do this of where it's just a normal Spider-Man costume but shiny? Who asked for this? That's my feeling on this, really. It's a 3. I strongly dislike it. I think the shininess of the red really the shininess of everything just makes the colors seem weird. They look weird, and it's yeah, the colors are kind of weird looking, and then this green is it does not fit in any way at all. Yeah, I think the eyes are supposed to glow on this one as well, but I don't think they do in-game. I don't think the spider technically glows either, but yeah. I just really, really don't like this at all. So yeah, it's a 3. It's a 3. I don't feel the need to justify myself too much here. I don't think people really like this one. I hope not, because if they do, I feel like I'm a little disappointed in the average person. Yeah, that sucks. Alright, so if we're going to be talking about weird Spider-Man designs, this is one of them. This is the Spirit Spider, which is Ghost Rider Spider-Man. Now, I don't know why Ghost Rider Spider-Man would have white be his primary color. I'm not sure. I also don't like the fact that he's got toes. That's weird to me. I didn't know that he had those before. That's kind of weird. I don't dislike this, which you might think that's strange. This is kind of like a guilty one for me. This is I kind of like this, but I feel ashamed in a sense, because it looks so weird. Like all this kind of like stretching around here, it looks really weird and kind of just gross in a sense. All this kind of like stretching, because I think it's supposed to look like skin maybe, and he's got a skull. So I don't know. I think the fact that the fire animates is cool. I think it looks cool in game. But just, I think a lot of this stretching just does not look good. I think it looks really kind of gross. And yeah, again, like he's got normal fingers and he's got toes, which are like, I don't know about that. Yeah, and this like weird waist stretching here. I don't think there's actually a huge amount to say about this one, because he's mostly just like a naked man without a dangus and a skull head and a spider symbol on his chest, which has horns. Whichever way it's drawn, because the way that it looks here looks like a deer skull with horns. That's what that reads as to me. It looks less like a spider. If it had these eyes were black and then just a little nubbin at the top, then I'd be like, okay, that's a spider. But no, this looks like a weird deer skull with the horns. And yeah, I think the skull looks cool. He's got a bit of a big top of his head. And again, I think the fire looks cool whenever it's animating, but it's a little basic. I think I'd feel bad giving this anything high, because again, I'm like, I kind of like it, but also, yeah, again, as I say, I think I would feel ashamed by being too generous to it. So maybe I think a 6. I think a 6 is an acceptable rating for this. I don't love it, but again, as I say, I kind of like it because I like Ghost Rider. So, Ghost Rider Spider-Man. Also, why though? That's kind of the crucial question, which kind of tears things apart here. Is why? Who is like really demanding Ghost Rider Spider-Man? It's not a thing to me that would really ever occur. They don't really gel, those two ideas. They don't necessarily coalesce in any way that makes too much sense. Yeah, I think it's a 6. I think, yeah, it's just kind of odd. It's just kind of an odd costume. Again, I think this is more of a contemporary one as well. I think this is newer. I'd never seen it before this game, so I think this is a newer one. All in all, I don't think this is like old, because I'm not familiar with it. I'd never seen it before the game, so I'm assuming that it is newer, sort of, in some way. But yeah, this is 6. I feel comfortable with that rating. Yeah, let's see what's next. Okay, so now we've got the Spider-Man 2099 white suit. The other big Spider-Man 2099 suit. I think it's a little over-designed, but it's kind of cool. So let's break it down. I don't like these little lights he's got on it, these little blue lights. I think they look a little daft. I like that he's got the tall long arm spikes. I think the white is a it is a compelling color on the design. I like the little red stripes here. I think the white on like the core body here it does stand out, and on the mask. And this costume goes from a two-tone, being the red and the blue, to a three-tone with red, white, and black, or dark grey. And I think the grey acts as a nice accent to the white. I also think the techiness of this actually is kind of cool. Maybe. I think the techiness of this kind of works. As opposed to some of the other ones. I think it's just because it has like very compelling shapes in it. Like stuff like the normal kind of eyepieces on the 2099 mask. And stuff like the kind of... the kind of skull spider that 2099 normally has is kind of... its shapes are more defined. Here are some of these... There are elements of this which you see in stuff like the Into the Spider-Verse 2099 suit, such as the long arm spikes and the kind of red shoulders. These are elements which you see elsewhere a lot of the time in redesigns of the core suit. I don't think this one lasted very long in the comics. I don't know. I've never read a Spider-Man 2099 comic. I don't think most people have. But again, this like weird exposure on some of these images because this like very harsh black here. In the same sense, is that actually black? Because it's here as well on some of these arm pieces. I don't know, it could be like a weird overexposed color here somewhere. Yeah, I know that the game processes shadows kind of strangely, like a lot of shadows are very, very dark. But I think maybe separating the skull pieces is a nice way of injecting a little bit more of that white into the design. I don't like it as much as the black suit, the classic 2099 suit, but I think it's still a 7. Even though that one was an 8, I think this one is a 7. I think overall, I think this this is like a pretty direct translation from page to game. I think it looks like almost exactly how it looks in the comics, pretty much. I think it's a very good translation of the costume. I don't love the costume. I think it looks alright. But yeah, I do think it's a 7. There's a certain kind of like Metal Gear Solidiness to it. Like he looks almost like some of the cyborg ninjas from Metal Gear Solid. Yeah. I don't love these lights though. These little lights I'm not a fan of. These little blue lights around his design, they just kind of look a bit strange to me. Yeah, I think I feel like, yeah, that I think it is a little over-designed in places, like along the kind of the rib cage. There's a lot of lines going on there. I think, however, this version of like the molded abs actually looks alright, because it's got these little diamond shapes, and here this kind of pentagonal shape which kind of disperses them, and also this part of the skull spider kind of disperses them nicely as well. So I think the kind of the way that this looks and the way they fold into the ribs looks alright. But yeah, I think just some of the some of that kind of there's just maybe some superfluous lines here, a little too much going on. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's okay. It's an alright design, and I think it's rendered well. It looks cool enough. And yeah, I think just maybe some of it could stand to be a little simplified. Yeah, they've really lent into the sci-fi Spider-Man element a little too far here, I think, in certain elements. Yeah, I think it's a 7. I feel comfortable giving it a 7. What's next? Next is this. Now, it is just the classic suit, but I like it a lot. I think it looks really cool with the with obviously the comic book outline and everything, and the harsh kind of, like, you can even see here like that kind of hatching lines along the black, and the way the kind of the black texture moves. I think this is really impressive looking, and even though the red is like completely flat, you've got this kind of Jet Set Radio kind of cell shaded look to it. Jet Set Spider-Man. This design though does emphasize kind of how big his head looks on this costume. Is that just me, or does his head look kind of big here? His head looks kind of like chunky. I don't know. I do like this quite a bit. I think I'm willing to give this one an 8. I give this one an 8 out of 10. I like this a lot. I think it's fun. It's a lot of fun. Just the kind of cartoon Spider-Man I think is very fun. Yeah, the kind of comic booky cartoon Spider-Man I think it's a fun look. And it's something that I don't think I can't think of, well, some of the other Spider-Man games give this kind of look, but a lot of it's kind of like some of the other Spider-Man games, this is their whole bag, is the kind of more cartoony look. So this is the thing. I think it's a fun stylistic departure from the other games, or the other costumes in this game, because I mean, I'm not really discussing the costume here, more just the kind of stylistic effort they've put into it, because the core, it's just the classic suit but with a filter on. That's really all it is, but I think the way that it works is nice. I'm willing to give it an 8, maybe a 7.5. I think might be a little bit more appropriate. 7.5 I think is a little fairer. I think maybe giving it an 8 is a bit high, but I do like it quite a bit. I think yeah, it's a 7.5. Yeah, I'm satisfied with that. It's a good design. It's a good design. Not even that it's good design. It's just fun to have. Yeah. What else is new? Okay. Right. So this is the Last Stand suit. I think this is technically a sort of a newer one. I think the idea is interesting, of the, like, oh, it's a Spider-Man suit, but it's also clothes. So he's got these black jeans and black boots, and it's a leather jacket, but it's still a normal mask and these gloves. There's a certain kind of like Spider-Man Noir quality to it, if you know what I mean, with the kind of like the double breasting here. But it's only got the buttons on the one side. I like the kind of the way that they incorporate the black along the sides and into the arms. I think the spider is maybe a little small. I think the jacket might look cooler if the spider kind of was incorporated more throughout it, if you know what I mean. I mean, this is how the design looks in the comics. I think it is anyways, with the kind of the smooth mask. There's no like webbing on the mask or anything. But I think if the spider was incorporated more throughout the rest of the design, it might look cooler. I think that might look like the spider kind of stretched along the jacket. I think that would be cool, as opposed to the tiny little spider. It feels a little lacking in that sense, and it might make up for the fact that there's obviously no webbing on the design, so it looks quite smooth in that sense. I think this one does look cool, even though it is kind of basic for what it is. I think this one's about a 7. A lot of 7s. But yeah, like, I mean, I don't really feel any which way about the jeans and boots. Realistically here, I'm basically ranking the jacket. But yeah, like, I don't really feel any which way about the jeans and boots. I think maybe they could have done something more interesting. Well, with the original design anyways, they could have done maybe something a little bit more interesting with these jeans and boots, because they're just black jeans and black boots. They're kind of the same. They're just kind of normal things. Even the jacket, I feel like they could have made the spider bigger and it stretches along the whole design. That might look a little cooler rather than just this tiny little spider on his chest, and then it kind of vaguely having the idea of a Spider-Man design along it, of the kind of the red stretching along the bottom of the jacket into that little point at the front of it, and then the kind of two-tone arms. It looks mostly just like a normal jacket. I mean, aside from double breasting, it's not very normal, but with a little spider on it. So I feel like that's kind of where I'm feeling here with the 7, is that there's very little of this that actually screams Spider-Man to me. If he didn't have a mask and that spider wasn't there, I wouldn't know it was Spider-Man. Kind of thing. I might say, hey, there's some weird Spider-Man-y elements to this, but it's like kind of subtle, all in all. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I feel like, yeah, that I could do with some, maybe even the mask having like thin webbing, or maybe, dear God, I hate to say it, but indented webbing. I know, it does sicken me a little bit to say that, but yeah, like some indented webbing might fit here, just to give it the impression of it at the very least. But yeah, I think if the spider stretched throughout the design, throughout the jacket, that might look alright. That might look a little cooler to me. I'm assuming he's got a bigger spider on his back, because it'll have the black on there. Yeah, I feel comfortable giving this a 7. Again, I feel like I'm giving a lot of 7s here, but also there's a lot of 7 out of 10 designs going on here. There is a little seam going along the top of it and along the sides of the mask, but it's very minimal. I think it could stand to have a little more going on with it. Yeah, it's a 7. I feel satisfied with that. I mean, he's just naked. He's just naked Spider-Man. I think the underwear having the little Spider-Man on it is a nice touch. It's a funny touch. But I feel no which way about it. The themed underwear does do a lot, though. I think it's a 6. I would have given it a 5 had it just been like plain white underwear, I think, because that's just like middle of the road nothing at that point. It's just, well, you're gonna do a naked Spider-Man design. What are you gonna do? You're gonna give him, you're gonna just give him the mask and give him some underwear. But they put in that 1 second of extra thought and said, hey, wouldn't it be funny if he had the little Spider-Man on it? So it's a 6 out of 10. Not much to say about it. There's nothing much to it. I mean, quite literally, there is 2 pieces of clothing here and the little web shooters. So yeah, I mean, yeah. So okay. Next, we've got the homemade suit from the MCU. I don't love this. I don't really love this. Again, it's got that kind of element to it of being, it's simple, which is uncharacteristic of MCU designs. There's a lot of this where I can see that they're kind of going for a Scarlet Spider thing with it. So for example, like let's ignore the mask for a second and just say, hey, it's the sleeveless hoodie, but it's red this time, and it's got the spider print already on it, but it's this kind of weird 3-piece like caterpillar spider. Spider's a bit kind of a weird shape. It's got the exposed kind of like web shooters here around the wrists, and that's kind of where the similarities end, to be honest. But it kind of got this element of it's Scarlet Spider but color flipped. That's the kind of feeling I get from it. Of where the kind of core underneath color is blue, and then the kind of accented color is red, as opposed to the other way around. I don't like the goggles really at all. I think it makes his face look kind of weird, the kind of weird little steampunk goggles. I know that in game that they express, I think, if memory serves, which is it's a nice touch, but yeah, I just don't much care for a lot of the MCU designs. I think the boots are a little funny looking. They've got this kind of like sock quality to them. I think these are actually socks. The more I look at them, they're just tall socks, and these are like running shoes, sort of things. They're like gymnastic shoes, maybe? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, 6 out of 10 is how I'm feeling about this. I don't really feel any which way about it, to be honest. I don't love it, I don't hate it, but it's just kind of there to me. I don't really care much one way or the other. It's it looks as it does in the movie. I mean, it's a costume. Yeah, I just kind of, it's very flat looking, like all the colors are very flat. I like the colors are bright, but again, as I say, there's kind of not enough going on to kind of make them look interesting. It is a very kind of flat, very silly looking costume in that sense. And I can kind of appreciate this as the kind of prototype Spider-Man outfit over something like the wrestler outfit, which is really bad because it's too bland. It's too flat. It's dull. This one is very flat, but I think it works a little better here because there's a bit more of the, again, it's still got the Spider-Man colors. It's still got all the shapes, kind of like if you blur your eyes, you're like, okay, that's Spider-Man. Whereas with the wrestler suit, you blur your eyes and you're like, what the hell is that? This, I think, yeah, it does still look like Spider-Man. But it's just not very interesting to me in any way. Yeah, it's kind of just, yeah, not one that really does much for me, but I can recognize that it's a decent enough design, so I'd say it's a 6. It's a 6 to me. It's still okay, it's still decent, it's still on the better end of okay, but it's above average. It's not amazing. So, okay, what else we got? We've got ESU, the ESU suit, which is just another variety of casual clothes. Spider-Man, this is their version of your kind of quick change Spider-Man, of where it's just, oh, he slapped the mask on his normal clothes, and feeling 2 for this one. Because in terms of what you can do with a quick change Spider-Man, this is like the first thought of where it's like t-shirt, jeans, shoes, mask. It's, yeah, and obviously the slapped on web shooters. I'm feeling like a 2 because this is like, it's such a basic version of a Spider-Man quick change costume to me, of where it's just kind of not got anything to it. Like, again, I think quick change Spider-Man stuff is often quite boring looking, but there's more interesting ways that you can do it. I think give him interesting looking clothes, because here he's just got a grey t-shirt and black jeans. Like, is there anything? I got nothing to grab onto here. There's no like interesting components to this design. It's just a t-shirt and jeans. Like, what am I supposed to get from this? It's just kind of very generic clothing. I think if they maybe give him interesting looking clothes, I don't really know what to say when it comes to interesting clothes. I just feel like this ain't it, Chief. Yeah, I don't much care for the idea, the quick change Spider-Man costume, but there's usually one in most games. There is a quick change Spider-Man of some variety, but I think this is just the least interesting version of that to me, so I am feeling a 2 out of 10. I think even the wrestler suit had an idea. This doesn't even feel like there was an idea. It just feels like they just kind of slapped out another costume, and that was it. There's just kind of nothing to it to me. It just feels like it's kind of just another costume, and we felt like we needed to do another quick something which had that kind of quick change aspect to it, but it's just so uninteresting to me. And again, as I say, I don't much care for quick change in the first place, but just this is not, there's maybe an interesting way to do it. I can't think of one, but this ain't it. This ain't it. It's 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10. Dislike this strongly. Okay, so now we've got the dark suit. This Black Cat one. It's not really a Black Cat costume, but it's a costume that you get for doing the Black Cat quest line. What is it with some of these designs and this kind of like hex Spider-Man symbol, if you know what I mean, like kind of like the DNA hex thing. If you kind of like blur your eyes, it's got that quality to it. This is another stealth suit sort of thing. I think the texturing of it is pretty good. I like the kind of these little bits of ribbing and stuff like that to it. I think the claws, again, I think that's an interesting touch. It brings over some of that Black Cat design, because otherwise there is basically none of it in there. I think the red eyes are weird. I don't much care for the red eyes. Again, these two-tone red-black ones I don't really find interesting, but there's this other black tone in there as well, this kind of like slightly, I don't know if it's just the way the light is hitting it, but this kind of like slightly greenish color, maybe is what I'd call it. But yeah, I mean, it's another kind of black suit thing going on here. I feel nothing. I feel nothing. I think the claws are a nice touch. It's the only real thing here that gives you any kind of Black Cat connection. I don't know if it's supposed to have anything necessarily to do with Black Cat, but it is just a very basic kind of like black suit thing. I mean, they even just call it the dark suit. There's not even like there's not really like a flashy name to it, but it's just kind of, I don't think this comes from anywhere necessarily. I think this is just one that they made for the game, but it's just kind of, that's all there is to it. Yeah. 5 out of 10? 5 out of 10. I'm feeling like a 5 out of 10. There's some little bits in here, like the claws and maybe some of this, so this little belt design and stuff like that I think are nice little touches, but I think it's just so basic for what it is. I like the big spider, but I also don't really love the shape of it all that much. Again, like this kind of like X shape, this kind of hex thing, the DNA hex thing that they've got going on, I'm not huge on. Yeah, I'm feeling like a 5. There's a few tiny little design elements that I'm like, oh, okay. But other than that, I just feel nothing looking at this. I just kind of have nothing. I feel no one way or the other about it, really. Yeah, it's a flat 5 out of 10, I think, for me. I just kind of get nothing out of this, really. This is another black costume, really. Yeah, not feeling anything. What else we got? Alright, here we've got the Anti-Ock Suit from the end of the game. I don't like this. I just feel like it's another black costume with some lines on it, and it's got a glowing Spider-Man symbol and glowing eyes, but they're yellow. Yeah, I just kind of get nothing out of this. Like the movement of some of these pieces, like you see it in the game whenever it does the big suiting up sequence, where you get all these bits like linking up together, and it's got the same design elements of Doc Ock's arms. And I think I like that the eyes are a different shape. They've got maybe a similar shape to the kind of the Raimi Suit. But it's also just not interesting to me in any way. It's got some okay, like, little shapes and kind of ways that things move. I think the movement of it is okay, but I feel like this is a 4 out of 10 to me. It's even less interesting than some of the other ones. I think even the dark suit is even maybe slightly more interesting to me than this. I think for a suit that you get at the end of the game, a suit which feels like it should be like a big, cool new suit, this just feels lame to me. Like, I feel like that's even part of why I'm like ranking it lower, is because it's for a suit that you get at the end of the game. This is supposed to be your big reward. How's this? This is not very interesting. It's a black suit with yellow lights. And and it's just kind of boring looking. And it's, again, they've still got some of this molded abs thing. It's got a little bit of that kind of, almost like, kind of Keaton Batman suit sort of stuff going on with those kind of molded abs and the stuff like that. But so many lines and just it's 4. I feel like it, again, I would give it a 5 if it weren't like the big reward for beating the game. I feel like the fact that it's the big reward for beating the game, I mean, even the ESU suit is like the big reward for getting everything. Well, not for getting everything, for getting like all the secret stuff. I think the undies are the reward for getting everything. But this is like the big reward for finishing the game, and it just doesn't really fill me with any sort of feeling at all, other than this is it, really. That's all there is. It's this. I feel like it's a 4. Just even on that alone, that kind of like disappointment factor. It's kind of, yeah, it's a 4 from me on that one. So what else? Alright, we got the Raimi suit. I like the way they render it here. The eyes are a little kind of odd in shape. I like the way they render it. It does still have the texture from the movies. I can't zoom in enough to see it, but yeah. I've never loved the silver webs, but I do appreciate that they stand out. I like the spider. I think the spider is a good shape. It's a good size. It always draws your eye, more or less. I think the silver kind of is maybe a little too eye-catching against the black of the spider symbol. I think mostly I'm not like super attached to this costume in any way. I think the colors of it stand out nicely. I like the red. I think the blue is a little dull for my taste. I don't have like the big nostalgia connection because I don't love those films. I mean, I grew up with them, but I don't really care one way or another for them for the most part. Yeah, like I appreciate that the texture on it is subtle. It's not like really really eye-catching like the Amazing Spider-Man suit, which we'll get to. Like I think the spider symbol does get a little lost in the silver, which is a downgrade. It brings it down a little bit for me. But I think otherwise, again, it's a decent looking movie Spider-Man. I think for the kind of dullness. The dullness of the blue and maybe even kind of it's a bit basic in certain elements, but I'm kind of like, yeah, I mean, for having gone through all these Spider-Man suits so far, this doesn't really like do anything crazy for me because I don't care much for the films. They're okay to me. I don't feel particularly strongly about those films for the most part, but yeah, like again, this hasn't got that big nostalgia connection to me like it does with some people. So I feel like it's a 7. It's a good suit. Like for a movie suit, it's a 7. But I don't like the silver. If the webs were black, I'd probably be like, yeah, that's Spider-Man. All right. I mean, it is like, just look at it. You can tell that that's Spider-Man by looking at it. It's not quite like the X-Men films where you're looking at it and you're like, who is that supposed to be? Sometimes, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think like a 7. I feel nothing really with this. But I'm like, it's a decent suit. There's nothing like wrong with it, really. So I feel like maybe a 7. There's nothing really wrong with it. I think it is decent, but I don't feel strongly enough about it to give it any higher than a 7. So yeah. Yeah, I think that's all I can really say about the Raimi suit. So yeah, alright, what do we got? I got Bombastic Bag-Man. I will immediately remove a point because he does not have the kick me sign on his back. I think, all in all, this is actually a cool looking Fantastic Four costume. If they were to do something like this in a movie, I think I'd actually be quite happy with it. I think the bag, I like the texture on the bag of it being kind of like crinkled. I also like that they decided to put the little the Spider-Man eye shape on it, because I don't think he has that normally. But I think it's just a neat little feature here that he has it. There's like a little thin mesh as well that you can see there, I think, underneath. You can't just see his eyes underneath. Again, like for a Fantastic Four suit, I think this is a pretty good looking Fantastic Four suit. If they were to do something like this in a film, I'd actually kind of like it. If this was how they looked in a movie, I would actually be happy with that costume. So I mean, I'm kind of ranking it on that front. I think they've done more with the bag than I expected them to, because it's normally just a brown paper bag. But I think the fact of it having the eye shape is actually fun. Yeah, I do appreciate it for what it is. I can't really zoom in too much to see these little bits of texturing here. Again, I think it's got that kind of like superhero costume texture, which is very basic. But I appreciate the gloves don't, because it makes the gloves and the kind of like the belt and the neck piece stand out that little bit more. I think the symbol looks good. I think it actually looks good. It's not too big, it's not too small, it's the right size to me. It has a little bit too much middle fold. I think it kind of like falls in a little bit on his chest more than it should. I think it should maybe have a little bit of like button, almost have like that kind of like buttony kind of like standing out sort of thing to it maybe. I don't think it should fold in, but I think overall we've got like a good 7.5. I like this quite well enough. I actually like it. I don't normally like Bag-Man at all, but I think even just by designing a pretty cool Fantastic Four costume, I actually quite like it. And again, they did more with the bag than I ever expected them to, which is they did something. But again, I think this genuinely could have been like an 8 out of 10, if maybe even an 8.5, if he had the Kick Me sign. Kick Me sign is integral to me. But yeah, I'm just taking a moment to think about how if he had the Kick Me sign, I think that would make him the highest rated suit in the game. To me. Just taking a moment to ponder that concept. Jeez. I think I might need to retrospectively go back and bring up the advanced suit and the classic suit, because dear god. I think I gave them both 8s. But they're yeah, probably both 8s. Maybe even 9s based on this bloody ranking scheme so far, because so much stuff has been 7s and 6s. These suits, I swear, they're just very to me. I don't love a lot of them. They're just very mediocre all the time, but I do actually like this. I do like Bag-Man. Again, I don't normally like Bag-Man. I think it's normally quite boring. It's just a Fantastic Four costume with a bag on it. But I think it's kind of fun. I don't know. I just kind of enjoy it here. Yeah, it's just kind of fun. Yeah, I think it's a 7.5. It's a pretty good design for Bag-Man all in all. Now what do we got? We got Future Foundation. This is one which I don't really kind of care either way for. I like the way that the spider disperses. This is technically another Fantastic Four costume. I like the way that the spider disperses, but what's wrong with his eyes? Why are his eyes so big? Like, these silver eyes are quite, like, huge on him. They, like, bulge out of his head here. They make him look, like, kind of big. This texture here along the black is actually quite nice. The kind of... almost this kind of... I don't want to call it quilting, but this zigzag texture along it is nice. It's a nice detail. He's sort of got the webbing going on, which I think is a nice detail with these little seams. These little seams add that kind of, like, almost the webbed texture to it, which I think is a nice touch. I think this is a 6.5. I don't really much care for Future Foundation, but I think the big problem is his eyes. His eyes look really weird. I don't really like these eyes, actually, because of the way they stick out so much. They should be a little smaller, I think. They're too big. They're much too big. But I like these little details. I think it would be a 7 without the eyes. I think the eyes are just my only real problem with it. I think otherwise I would give it like a 7. But the eyes, it's kind of like them sticking out so much. I don't like it all. Yeah, the inner hands being black, all that stuff. This kind of little bit of texturing on the black I like well enough. Yeah. Yeah, that's a 6.5 for me. I think I don't feel one way or the other too strongly about the Future Foundation costume. It's kind of okay to me. It's kind of like a mediocre costume. I don't love it, don't hate it. It's there. It's not one that I pick in a Spider-Man game all that much. Of the costumes that are normally available, I don't normally pick Future Foundation. I don't normally spend much time with it. I just don't. I appreciate that it's there, because I know there's people who do like it a lot, but it just doesn't do much for me. And again, I think his eyes look kind of weird here. These kind of big, like big eyes here, they look weird to me. But yeah, 6.5. 6.5. I feel all right with that. That score. Again, I appreciate the kind of like webbed texture. Very thin inlaid web texture that kind of comes around from the mask into the upper piece sort of thing, into the arms, maybe a little bit on the legs. Not much. But yeah, 6.5. Feel content with that. Now we get the upgraded suit from Far From Home? Is that what it's called? The second one, I think. Yeah. Red and black, eh? They wanted to go with that. They decided, you know, we have all these little black lines on his suit. Why don't we add more and just make it all black? There's a very strong Alex Ross quality to this. If you've ever seen the original Alex Ross concept for the Spider-Man movie, it was sort of like this, where it was mostly black. I think it had, the fingers were red and the boots were red, but it stopped at around the bottom of the pecs was the red, and then the spider kind of moved into the shoulders and then came down into the rest of the design. And the spider was like a tiny bit that like took off of the chest piece. Yeah, I don't like it very much. I didn't like the Alex Ross design either. There's stuff here of where this is like slightly two-tone black, there's the normal black bits which come from the rest, or the normal MCU suit. Like here, these come down into this. These are normal black bits. But then there's this with the texture on it, this kind of like cross-hatched texture sort of thing going on here. The superhero costume texture. And then there's the little bits of white on the spider. The spider is still too small to me. The inlaid webs, don't like. I don't feel any better. No, I think I feel slightly worse about it than the Stark suit. I think I'm going to give this one a 5. I don't care really about it, but I don't particularly dislike it. I don't particularly dislike it. I don't particularly like it. It feels like a 5 to me. Feels like a 5. Yeah, I think it feels like a 5. I don't really care one way or another. I don't particularly dislike it. I don't like it. I don't feel better about it than the previous core MCU one. It's not as bad as the Iron Spider, but it's not got any blue in it. So, yeah, it's a 5. Man, these MCU suits just, yeah, really don't do anything for me. Alright, what do we got next? So this one's also called the Stealth Suit. This is also from that same movie. So he's got his... can I zoom in? I can. He's got this like balaclava with the Spider-Man stuff on it. This is just some shield body armor. It's got the little dot there, which I think would otherwise be a shield logo, maybe. It's just kind of like a zip-up piece of body armor sort of thing. It's got this weird quality to it of where if you just took off this and... It looks kind of like a Black Widow design, but on a male character. That's kind of the odd quality to it. I suppose it's because, again, it's the shield bodysuit sort of thing. The shield one-piece bodysuit. This is a 4. It's a 4. It's barely a Spider-Man design. The only thing that says Spider-Man about this is the eyes. If you didn't have the eyes, it wouldn't be a Spider-Man design. I understand that, again, this is technically also a quick change Spider-Man thing, because I have seen the movie. But why this? Why this? Why do we need this? Yeah. Why do we need this? What about this? It says Spider-Man to anybody. Because yeah, the eyes, that's it. The web shooters, I guess, but you can like really easily miss those. Again, like I said, it feels like a Black Widow design, but with the Spider-Man mask on it, and it's not even really a Spider-Man mask. It's a balaclava with Spider-Man eyes. 4 out of 10. Lower than average. Mediocre. I don't really care much about it, but it's just kind of lame. As I say, it is like a weird Black Widow design, but on Spider-Man. That's even kind of what the dark suit was. Where is that one again? Is that one here? No, there. Yeah, like that's kind of what this one is. It's like a Black Widow design, but on Spider-Man. I just had like a vision of something there. It looks an awful lot like there was an image which I saw of like a Venomized Black Widow or something like that, which looked like this. I think it was kind of the same thing-ish, and that kind of fits with this like weird text thing. Like if you just drew like a flat line here and a flat line here, that's the Black Widow symbol. This is a weird Black Widow design. Ugh, well, this is a 4 out of 10. I don't like it. Yeah, I don't really remember what I gave the dark suit. I think I gave that one a slightly more favorable review, but I also didn't really care for that one. This one I don't care for, and I also I'm verging on dislike, so I would say it's a 4. Right now, what do we got? Now I got the amazing suit. Now, there's elements of this costume which I like. I do like the spider, but there's so much bloody texturing going on here that it's like practically invisible because of all this texture. Like, look at how intrusive this texture is. I like the soles on his boots. But there's like so much texturing going on this. He's not got a belt. I think he should have a belt. He looks a little naked without the belt. I don't like the yellow lenses. I mean, they're supposed to be sunglasses lenses, but they look kind of weird here. They're like kind of. I don't think that's how they looked in the movie. They don't look quite right. Something about them. And there's like weird texturing on them as well. Yeah, like I feel like I don't know if this is necessarily accurate because of all like the texturing and everything. And Jesus, yeah, the texturing is so intrusive. Like there's so much texture on this with the like all the black texturing on the like the blue, and then it's also got these lines on it. And then there's the webbing, obviously, on the red, but then there's also this, like, white texturing here, which is, like, it is so distracting. You can barely see the spider on this. This is, like, a 5. This is, like, I know, this is actually also a 4, I think. Again, it's partly the... Maybe that it's like, slightly inaccurate with stuff like the lenses and bits not quite looking right to me, but also just like the text, there's so much texturing on it, and it's just like bits of this just get lost. Like you just can't, like from here I can't see the spider symbol at all. Like if I blur my eyes, I can't see it. I just can't see it at all. Like I have to really focus to be able to see that at all. It's like an optical illusion. It just like hides all the detail. I like the soles. Again, I don't dislike this costume in the movie, but I don't like the yellow lenses. I don't like the... Again, I understand the point of it, that the lenses are supposed to be like a practical, like sunglass lens, and then a lot of this is supposed to be like made out of running gear, maybe. I don't know. With all like the texture, the breathable texture stuff, but just whatever way it's modeled, whatever way the textures are all like, all the textures are like battling for your attention, is how it feels. Like it's just an assault on your eyes. Yeah, it's a 4. It's a 4. It's partly that it's not again, this isn't a great render, maybe, but also it's not a great model. It's not that it's not even that necessarily that it's not a great model. It isn't like 100%. It's not fully accurate. These textures are maybe, I don't know if this texture on the blue is supposed to be black. I don't know if this texture on the red is supposed to be white. But it's just so aggressively distracting that, again, I haven't seen the movie in a long time, so if it is like that, I'd maybe even give it a 4 on the movie. Yeah, I don't know. That's a 4. Yeah, it does not feel good to me. Right, so which one was this? This is the Arachnid Rider. I mentioned this whenever I was talking about the Power Ranger one earlier on. I think this is weird, but I kind of like it. I kind of like a lot of this. Again, it's got this kind of Power Ranger quality, this kind of Kamen Rider look to it. Again, I appreciate the kind of the artistic look of it with the kind of like the soft coloring with this kind of like soft shading on it. I actually quite like this. I don't think this is a suit that I would use in the game, but I appreciate it for being there, and I appreciate the art style, the art of it. I think looks really cool. Again, the yellow bloody lenses, they should be white, and maybe get rid of that yellow trim on the. Maybe get rid of some of this yellow in the design. There's this yellow trim on the spider. There's this yellow trim here. Yellow eyes. I think the eye. I might actually prefer if the eyes were white. I'm feeling like a 7. Again, I am throwing these 7s out willy-nilly. I actually do quite like the coloring of this. I like the blue. I'm not too sure about the like little blue horn thing on the front. I'm not too sure about that. Or on the knees. I think it's okay. I think it's okay, but I think it's also, I appreciate the artistic quality of it, like the shaders that they have running on it and stuff like that. I appreciate that. Again, I appreciate the effort that's gone into capturing this kind of look. Again, it's even got these little like hatching lines along it here and stuff like that. The little hatching there, hatching there. The way that the light hits it with this kind of like wibbly light line that kind of runs across it. I like that quite a lot actually. I think again the design itself is maybe like a 6. It's a decent design. It's maybe a little over designed. It's too complicated maybe, but I think a lot of the artistic quality like brings it up to a 7 to me. Again, it's not a suit that I would use, but I think it looks cool. I think it looks cool to me. I still don't think we're into the DLC yet. I think this might be the last one of the latter update costumes, because a lot of these came in updates, these last ones. But yeah, I like this one enough. It's about a 7. 7 feels okay to me. With that, yeah, 7 feels okay. Yeah, now what do we got? We got the Armoured Advanced Suit. So, another Spider-Armour. And hey, you thought the Advanced Suit didn't have enough white? Not only did it not have enough white, but it also didn't had too much blue. Well, no more blue. Now it's got black where the blue was, and also lots and lots of white on it. I kind of don't mind the elements of, well, this is quite blurry. I don't mind the elements of where it looks like they've built white on top of it, but also I feel like this just isn't very good. I think this is like a 5 or a 4. I don't particularly like it. There's a certain like weird stormtroopery quality to it. I don't know how to describe that. It's maybe this face shape, this like the line here that comes up like that. That kind of gives me like this weird stormtrooper vibe to it. The white on his body and armor and everything isn't the same as the white on his eyes, which isn't the same as the white on his spider, which isn't the same as the white on his web shooters, which isn't the same as the white on the line around some of this extra red. There's so many extra tones of white, and there's also this tone on his knees as well, and here. underneath the shoulder. Dear God, there's a lot of tones to this. I am feeling like, yeah, like a 5. I don't know, a 4. It's a 4 because I don't care for it, but I also dislike it. I don't care for it, but I dislike it. It feels so like barely Spider-Man in elements. Not that it's barely Spider-Man, that it's like a really uninteresting Spider-Man design, and I just don't really want to look at it anymore. It's, yeah, I just dislike it. I don't like it very much. It's a 4. It's a 4. Giving out these 4s willy-nilly now. Jesus. Ugh. Another MCU design. We got the hybrid suit, which is from No Way Home, I think, is what the last one was called. It's funny that they added 2 of the suits from that movie, but not the only halfway decent suit from that movie. That being the one that was actually red and blue. So, hey, you remember what color I said I didn't much care for on Spider-Man? It's gold. You know what color is on a lot of this design? It's gold. It's still got lots of that black. I mean, actually, is this... like, where's that other suit? Is this kind of just the same thing as this? No, not really. It's got some elements of it. It's got the same kind of gloves. But it's actually more over-designed in parts. It's got, like, some of the same elements. Like, the gloves are kind of the same. Some of this arm piece is the same, but there's a little bit more red in it. There's these little, like, red lines coming down and through everything. There's no patterning on some of it. Again, I still don't like the inlaid webs. I don't like this gold. I like that the spider's bigger, but hey, you know what I might actually like more? If you had this bigger spider, it was black, you took all these black bits, turned them blue, got rid of some of this crap, and then got rid of some of these extra bits, made this a red glove, made that a red stripe here, got rid of that bloody knee pad, made his trousers blue, or made his lower half blue, get rid of that crap on the knee, make this a full red glove, make that a red stripe, blue in here, and make this big gold bit black. I would actually kind of like that. As it stands, it is a... 4, I think. Again, it does feel like another 4 because it's a design which I don't care for, leaning on the dislike. So yeah, it's a 4. I don't dislike it enough for it to be a 3. It's not a design that actively repulses me. This one's getting downgraded to a 3. I dislike that one enough for it to be a 3. Actually, this one's a 4. I think to put that bloody stealth suit on a 4 also just, you know what, that stealth suit is a 2. It's so boring. It's so boring and lazy. This is a 2. I'm getting angry about this thinking about it now. It's so boring and lazy and crap. I don't know. This is the only part that is any Spider-Man in it. The rest of this is just S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. It's just crap. This is a 4. It's not that bad. It's mediocre, leaning on not very good. Now we got this, also a 2. This sucks. Black and gold, you know, the Spider-Man colors, and also some of this weird like wiring crap because it's turned inside out or whatever, and then this stupid amulet, the gauntlet thing. This is crap. It's a 2. This is crap. I don't like this. All the exposed wiring and stuff makes it look silly. I don't think there should be this much wiring in a Spider-Man suit. It just looks like a costume. Why does it need to be so advanced? Just make it a costume. It's a 2. It's crap. It sucks. It sucks and I don't like it. It's a 2. Yeah, I don't feel like talking about this one very much. It's not even got a name. It's just a black and gold suit. Crap. Yeah, sucks. Now we're on to the DLC. Oh jeez, there's 9 of these costumes. I think. More or less. So this is the Resilient suit. I don't know where this comes from. But it's shiny. I know that much. It's shiny. That blue is very pale. The spider is white. And against that very pale blue, it's like kind of hard to see because everything's shiny. The red is so dull. His eyes are very thin. I don't like this very much. I think this may be a 3. I think this may be a 3. I don't like this. I don't like this very much at all. I don't think it looks very cool. I don't think it looks interesting, and I think it is annoyingly shiny. I think it is a 3. I can't even zoom into it that much. It's got all these little lines on it. I hope you like lines. Hope you like lines all over your Spider-Man. Lines and white webbing. It's a nice day for a white webbing. Ugh. Jesus. Yeah, this is a 3 from me, boss. I don't much care for that. These thin eyes are fine. But it's a 3. I don't like that very much at all. Spider UK. Why are his eyes like this? Why does he have like these like sleepy eyes? He's got these weird sleepy eyes. I forgot how little red there was in this design. I like the blue well enough. It's a very pale blue. He's got these weird like kind of like droopy eyes, which don't look great to me. It's strange to me that they didn't just use his normal eyes. It's strange to me that they didn't just use the normal Spider-Man eyes from the game. I don't know why they didn't do that, why they felt like they needed to do that. Why is it that this design, which is so just flat, they didn't actually put some seams or something on it? Like even just have like a little seam running down on the inside of his thigh. That's like where a seam would be, but there's no seams on this at all. And there's these little seams that come down there. But this is like remarkably detailless in most of it. I also feel morally obligated to not give this a high rating. As an Irish person. But I also don't really like it either. I think Spider UK isn't the most interesting design in the world in the first place. And again, why would... If he's still Spider-Man, why does he have a Union Jack instead of just having a spider as well? He should... I feel like he should still have a spider, no? Just having the Union Jack doesn't make much sense. Like Spider-Man America doesn't have stars and bloody stripes on him, does he? The American Spider-Man doesn't. So why does the UK one? I don't know, I feel like he should still have a spider on his chest. It's kind of the same way I feel about Spider-Punk. I still think he should have a spider on his chest. Because otherwise I'm not getting, like, again, the webs and the eyes and the red and the blue. I'm getting that he's Spider-Man, obviously. I'm no fool, but still, I think he should still have the symbol. I don't even think he has it on his back. 5? 5. I think it's a 5. There's not enough bad elements of it to make me give it a low score, but it's not got anything particularly good about it, I think. His red is kind of weird and dull. The blue is nice. I like the blue, but his red is a little too dull for it. There's so much blue in this design, like he's mostly blue. I think it's a 5. I don't really care either way about it, to be honest. There's not anything really either way that makes me care about this design. What do we got now? We've got the second Scarlet Spider, the Kane Scarlet Spider. Now, again, I feel kind of the same way about this that I do about the Bag-Man costume. I don't normally care for this costume very much because I think it's kind of a boring costume. It's just black and red. It's another two-tone Spider-Man costume. It's mostly red, but I don't normally care much for it. But I like that they've gone out of their way to add these little bits of red going, these little lines of the red going through and moving through the black. I like that they've put these little thin lines that kind of separate things on the arms. I like this second tone of red that kind of goes in places where the blue might be, and it creates the shape of the belt. I think they've gone the extra mile with this rather than just doing the costume in a way that feels more interesting. Like with the Spider UK, this is kind of just what he looks like in the comics. Maybe it sans the droopy eyes. But with this feels a little bit better than what this Scarlet Spider looks like in the comics. In the comics, it's a very basic design. It's mostly just a red costume with a Spider-Man symbol on it. I like the symbol. I think the symbol looks cool, but I do actually appreciate some of this. I think that the eyes are maybe a little too dull. I think the eyes should be a little brighter. It feels like the eyes are the same color as the Dark Suit eyes. It feels like they maybe reused that same texture or something on them, and it just makes them look quite dull. I'm willing to give this a 7.5. I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. Again, I feel about the same way as I do about Bag-Man, of where they've kind of gone the extra mile for a suit which I don't normally care for, but they've made it look a little better. They've added these little bits of design that don't go too far. Again, there's not much design around here. There's a little bit on the foot that kind of makes this boot shape. There's a little bit along the hips and along the side that kind of comes into this belt shape and into the kind of glove shape, which I think is enough. That just kind of disperses some of those colors a little bit nicer. That is this slightly darker color that just helps to kind of spread things out a little bit. I think it looks pretty good. All in all, it's a 7.5. I like that one well enough. Now we got the Spider-Armour Mk I. Again, as I've said a couple of times now, don't really care one way or another about Spider-Armour. I don't really like it all that much, but I also don't dislike it. I think this is a 7. I think this is a bit of a weird image of it. This image here just doesn't really have much light hitting it. I don't know. There's these weird scratchy lines on it. This is like a weird render. I think normally this one does look pretty good. All in all, it looks... Again, it's the same kind of feeling I have about the Bag-Man and Scarlet Spider II, of where they have gone that little extra mile. Like you can see these little bits of design here, the little design on the inside of the knee, along the sides, which kind of help disperse some of those colors. This silver is normally a lot silverier, which I think makes it look a lot better. And the web shooters are kind of built into the gauntlet in a way that doesn't seem too weird. It doesn't initially, I wouldn't initially see that and think, oh, there's a web shooter. I would look at that and be like, oh, that's just part of the gauntlet design, but it is the web shooter. So it's like, oh, that's a neat little bit of design that they put in there, and the way that the abs kind of spread out and all this stuff. I think it's about a 7. I think it's about a 7. All in all. It's a pretty good one. Pretty good one. But again, this is a weird render. It's a weird render. It kind of doesn't help things. Maybe I might give it higher if I had a better image to work off of, but it's about a 7, I think. I don't love Spider-Armour, don't care much one way or another for it. Now, Iron Spider, the proper one. So I actually think this has the opposite problem as the Spider-Armour Mk I and Scarlet Spider II and Bag-Man, which is that they've actually gone a little too far on this. Like, he's not just simple red costume with the golden eyes and golden spider on it and these tiny little bits of gold here and there. They've tried to make it look like armor, and it just kind of, again, he's got that weird chin piece here, and his eyes are a little bit of an odd shape, and again, it's like trying to create a little Iron Man symbol there, sort of, maybe is what that is. This little blue in there, and there's these kind of bluey silver lines. I don't like this very much. I don't like the Iron Spider as is, but I think this is actually a worse version of it. So I think this is a 4. I think this is a worse version of the Iron Spider armor, which again I already don't really like. But again, there's like the gold on his fingers and stuff like that, which there's just too much going on here. It's not, they've not kept the simplicity and just accented it. They've gone a little too far with it, and it's just got too much crap on it. So I think it's a 4. Yeah, I think it's a 4. They've just gone too far with certain elements of it. Because with all these little lines and pieces on like the kind of bottom of the spider and on the arms and stuff like that. But yeah, they've just gone too far with it. Yeah, it's a 4. It's a 4. I don't like it very much. We're in the home stretch now. So I mentioned Jet Set Spider-Man earlier on, and this is actually Jet Set Spider-Man. This is the Spider Clan suit. Is this supposed to be the manga Spider-Man? I think that was in a couple of, maybe one other Spider-Man game that I can think of. It was maybe in Shattered Dimensions, I think. I don't really like this. His proportions are a little too weird, I think. Like, he's got these weird kind of like his hips are really thin, but then he's got these kind of like fat thighs and then really tiny ankles but giant feet. And he's got these little shoes and the bandages and gloves. I don't actually feel strongly enough about this, to be honest with you. This t-shirt design I'm not into very much. I think it's a 3. I don't think it looks very good. I don't think it looks very good in this game, even, maybe. The gloves look a little too weird. I can't really tell the shapes of them. I can't really see his fingers in it. It just looks like a massive like bandage in brown to me. And the bandages on his arms are way too thick and chunky. The t-shirt, I don't really like the t-shirt design of it. I feel like if you're not gonna do the webs on the whole red, there's not even that much red. I feel like if you're not gonna do the web design on the whole red, why do it only on the head? I think I like the shape of the eyes. I think that looks fun enough, but the spider on his chest, like, that's barely a spider. There's no middle to the spider. Why is there no middle to the spider? It just looks like these random lines now. There should be a middle part to that spider, otherwise it's just a why is it even there? And again, like the fact of having the webs on the head but not on the rest of the red, there's barely any red. Why even bother not doing it? It's a 3. It's a 3. I don't like it. I don't like it. It's a 3. I'm not happy about this one, actually. I was thinking I didn't care, but I actually do. I was thinking that I didn't care very much, but I actually do. It does bother me a little bit. His shoes look silly as well. Just the kind of normal trainers, but with these like weird gangly monster legs. I think this does not work. The proportions are weird. Again, in game, I've never really seen it in game. I've never really seen anyone use this. I don't think anyone else likes it. It doesn't really match anything to me. Yeah, no, I don't like that very much at all. That is a 3 from me. Now we've got the Aikman armor. I've never seen this outside of this game. I'm not really familiar with it, but I'm like, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool, maybe. The blue is a little too dull. It's another bloody spider armor. They really like their spider armor. I kind of appreciate the proportional weirdness though here. It kind of works in a strange way. I don't mind these little like kind of horn pieces on his eyes. Yeah, I don't mind these little like kind of like, are they like horn pieces? No, they're just kind of like extra bits of visor, I suppose, that come around here as well and onto the above the eyes. I think the spider looks cool. The spider has that thing that I was talking about with the hybrid suit of where it kind of like moves into these parts and then moves down in. And the actual webbing on the design feels like it goes with the armoriness because it kind of works with the pieces here. And again, it feels like the red parts of the armor, the blue parts are just kind of like more padding, and the black parts are the thinnest bit, maybe. Maybe a 7. Maybe a 7 out of 10. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. I don't dislike it really at all, but I don't love it either, really. Yeah, about a 7. About a 7. I don't feel too strongly about it, really. Yeah, it's about a 7, I'd say. Don't love it, don't dislike it at all. Now we got this one. I don't really understand this in any way whatsoever. This is Cyborg Spider-Man. Is he supposed to be Forge? Why does he look like Forge? Why does he have the Forge eyepiece and the Forge arm? Is he supposed to be Forge from the X-Men? If you don't know who that is, look him up. He looks like this, but not obviously Spider-Man. I like the bandana. I think the bandana is an interesting choice because it moves around. I think the arm looks cool, but I don't know why it's on Spider-Man. The belt is an odd choice. They've used the same like groundwork here as the damaged Spider-Man. Is this actually the same rips? It is the same rips. It is actually the same rips more or less, but he's got ones on his mask as well, which wouldn't be there at all. Otherwise, this is actually more or less the same tears that he has on the damaged classic costume. With that noticed, I think this is actually about like a 6. I kind of don't know why it exists. I don't know where this comes from. I think this is only from like one issue of a comic or something, if memory serves. I don't think this is from like any particular universe that has anything to it. The sun has gone down, so I'm kind of conscious to try and speed up here a little bit. I've only got one more costume left, but yeah, it's mediocre, but I don't dislike it enough to say that it's flat down the middle or that it's bad, really. I don't dislike it enough to say that it's like flat down the middle or bad. Yeah, it's a 6 out of 10. It's weird. It's just weird. Again, this arm is cool, but it doesn't belong on a Spider-Man design. Again, it belongs on Forge. Like a lot of this, I'm like, why is this on Spider-Man? Why does he look like this? Why is he? He's just got the same rips from the damaged classic suit, but they've been sewn up. So it's like, is this supposed to be from like a dark future of that same timeline? I don't know. I don't get it. Yeah, I just kind of don't get it. Is my big thing with it. But yeah, it's a 6, I guess. It's not bad. It's just kind of confusing, yeah. Okay, last one we got is Into the Spider-Verse suit. So this is not, unfortunately, this is not the Peter B. Parker suit, which is the one that I would have preferred if he had his big gut and his shorts. I would have liked that more than this, because he's already proportionally weird. But this is the Chris Pine Spider-Man. I don't know. I don't remember this blue being so purple in the film. I think they've captured the look of the movie well enough, but there's these weird little inconsistencies which I'm noticing now. So did this normally have just this little black line here in the movie and not come up like that? I think again the texturing of it and the like all these little effects that kind of go a long way to try and replicate the look of the movie. Unfortunately, this was before they did Miles Morales, of where they had the actual effect, the frame rate effect, to actually match the look proper of the movie. So this one moves in normal frame rate, but just has the look of the film. So with that said, I think it's like a 6. It's like a 6. It's okay. Yeah, I don't remember these little like black trims going around this. The red and then the red here as well. This little trim that comes around this. I don't really remember those. In the same sense, it's rare that you see one of these characters stood still without movement at all in those films. So yeah, I think it's about a 6. It's a bit of a weird dud to end on, but I think I'm going to upgrade the advanced suit to a 9. In retrospect, same with the classic suit. I think I'm going to upgrade both of those to 9s. This is still whatever I gave it before, probably a 5. Yeah, even though this has got some dull-ass colors, it's a 9 out of 10 compared to the rest of the bloody game. Same with this, even though this is kind of basic for what it is, And it does have these little extra lines that probably don't need to be there, like this weird, what is this, like a pocket? That probably don't need to be there. In retrospect, that is a 9 out of 10, as is the advanced suit. But with that, I think that is us. This is not actually significantly shorter than the Mortal Kombat Ninjas. It's still 2 hours and 20 minutes. I honestly thought this would be quicker, to be perfectly honest. I only had to go through 1 game, whereas with the Mortal Kombat Ninjas I had to go through like 6 games. You know, like 10. I had to go through 12 games worth of Mortal Kombat Ninjas, and with this I only had to go through 1 game with 50 costumes. I think that kind of answers my question, doesn't it? Yeah, I don't know. This game has some okay costumes, and it has some really bad ones, and it also has some questionable decisions as to why they chose to do certain ones, like the Cyborg Suit. Why is that one there? Why did they choose to do stuff like the manga Spider-Man? Why did they choose to do stuff like the Resilient Suit? Why did they do so many Spider-Armors? So many Spider-Armors. So many weird ones, so many weird contemporary ones, like the Fear Itself suit, and the what other that Spider-Armour was, which just had the green spider on it. That sucked. Yeah. I feel largely it's kind of a frustrating roster of skins, of costumes. It's a very frustrating group of costumes. It's a good game, but dear God, that collection of costumes is limited and kind of frustrating. But, yeah. Yeah, overall, I think maybe... Yeah, I like some of them. I like a decent amount of them. I don't hate most of them. I gave a lot of 7s, but I also gave a lot of 4s. I didn't give that many 4s even in the Mortal Kombat Ninja video. Yeah, I gave a lot of 4s. I gave a lot of 7s. But, yeah, just confusing, frustrating, kind of annoying... lack of certain skins. Where's stuff like the Ben Reilly Spider, the Spider-Man suit? Not the Scarlet Spider, the Ben Reilly Spider-Man suit. Where's Spider-Man Unlimited? Where is all these costumes? I'm hoping that maybe with the next game they will include some more of these weird suits. Like whenever I was mentioning I'd like a version of the Noir Suit which had the hat, which had the trench coat. That'd be neat. I'd like that a lot. And maybe they could include some of these things. If they're doing that, I'd be happy if they were to include stuff like that with the with the next game, because there are costumes in there which have physics objects on them. I mean, there is even in this game, but there's only the one really with the bandana, the Cyborg Suit. It's really the only one which has any kind of physics objects to it. But it seems like they're going in a direction where maybe there'll be more physics objects, because there's capes on some of them now. So maybe there'll be some costumes which will have which will have some more physics objects, like maybe the trench coat for Spider-Man Noir, their version of it at least, and maybe a Spider-Man Unlimited with a web cape, or maybe even just a Spider-Man 2099 with the web cape. That'd be fun. I never really mentioned that whenever I was talking about it, but it's a thing that none of the games do, obviously, because it's not really a thing they can do. But it'd be nice if they just had it at least once, one of these designs. It'd be fun to have again. If they did like I don't know, Spider-Man Unlimited and gave him the web cape, that'd be neat. That'd be cool. Spider-Man Unlimited has lots of screen time in the most recent Spider-Verse movie. For some reason, he has a lot of screen time in it. So maybe there's a world in which we get a Spider-Man Unlimited skin in the next Spider-Man game. Maybe. And on that note of hope and peace in our world, the world where pigs fly, where Spider-Man Unlimited has an actual costume, I really hope that statement is not horribly dated by the time that this video comes out. But also, I partly expect it to be. I kind of hope it is. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that they do. I'd be happy if they did put a Spider-Man Unlimited costume in there. And it had the web cape. Crucially, it had the web cape. It's a cop-out if they only have the costume. But again, I'll not kind of take anything at this point. Anyways, with all that said, I will do our outro. So, who knows when this video is going to come out? Probably near enough to the release of the game. It is very dark in here, so I'm going to try and speed things up. Who knows? I hope hope you liked the video. If you did like the video, you could like the video. I wouldn't. You don't have to. If you like the video, I would appreciate it, but it's not required. Same deal if you want to subscribe. You know where the button is. If you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it. If you're not, you're not. I don't mind. I would of course prefer if you did, but again, I can't make you do anything. I can't make you do anything you don't want to do. So yeah, if you choose to watch the next video, I'll see you next time. All that, and so yeah. With that said, yeah, I will say goodbye, and that'll be us. So, bye bye.